This is the recruiTECH podcast, the cutting-edge podcast in the CEE region, by professionals for professionals about recruitment and technology. We are here to help professionals in the human resources and recruitment fields navigate the challenges and opportunities of finding and hiring top talents.
Hello, this is the recruiTECH podcast from the profession for the profession. My name is Matthias Wolf. I'm here with Radancy, formerly known as Firstbird. And I'm kind of like since 2005 in the industry. I've been with Great Place to Work before and then starting Firstbird, which is now part of the Radancy group. And I will be the moderator and host of today's conversation. The topic why we gathered here today with both of you, of my colleagues here in the discussion, is the topic of employee referrals. And maybe that I introduce the topic to all our listeners. I think in our benchmark service that we run, and a lot of you probably also know, is a lot of the organizations are a fan and are using and have implemented employee referral programs. Our data shows that probably 2/3 or even more of the organizations are using it. So kind of like a channel that is well known and well used. And the question is, how well is it really used? And because when we talk to a lot of the organizations and recruiting managers out there, we know there are some challenges around how to really keep an employee referral program active over a period and a long time. Because also our studies show that only a very small fraction is permanently and participating in such problems. So this is one of the things we try to find out, how to really make the best use of an employee referral program, or if you have one, how you can improve it on the way. That might be that you get rid of manual processes. That might be what kind of reward strategies that you might have to really increase your success rate. That's all for the beginning. Now to both of you. Tamás, this is easy now to remember because both of your first names are Tamás. I start with you, Tamás Zemlényi, Deloitte HR Director since 2022, and Tamás Vass from SAP, Senior HR Recruitment Consultant. And very welcome, both of you here. And before going into the topic, maybe Tamás Vass, to start with you, a bit, who are you? What is your role at SAP? And maybe a private thing, what's your number one thing in your life it's on your bucket list, what you one day want to do in your life?
All right, so thanks for having us here. I think I can say on both of our names Tamás's and on behalf of Tamás's. And my name is Vass Tamás, and I'm working almost 15 years as a recruiter. I started almost all the positions. I've worked almost all the positions in IT. So mostly I worked with Java developers, and from a junior recruiter, I climbed up the ladder up until leading a team. And now I joined 2 years ago to SAP into a team called Early Talent Recruitment Team. So in my team, I'm mostly focusing around junior roles. And we also introduced Firstbird 2 years ago, and I'm here about also share my experiences and thoughts about referring systems. And talking about my bucket list goal, maybe recently I'm focusing more on short times goals, so regarding fitness goals and things like that. But I have to pick something. Maybe I would like to learn to play music properly, starting with something. So I started to learn playing the guitar on my own, but I think I should move into the direction of the piano. So that would make us look like a proper musician. So that's my pick as a bucket goal.
Very good. That's a nice one. And Tamás, a little bit about you, your role at Deloitte as well, and what's on your bucket list as the number one item you want to do in your life still?
Sure. First of all, thank you for the invitation. So my name is Tamás Zemlényi, and as you mentioned, just joined a little bit more than 1.5 years Deloitte as an HR director. Before in the last 20 years, I spent mostly in HR area and grew up mainly in supply chain and manufacturing environment. Company Bosch for almost 10 years, Company G again 10 years, and then I landed here. A little bit different sector, so probably we will talk about it with all the beauties around it. And at Deloitte, from HR point of it, we have to separate two main things. One is the advisory, the consultancy part, which is how we will try to support and help and create strategies for our clients. This is what under the consulting side. And what I'm doing is taking care about our own employees. So we are approximately a little bit more than 1,000 people here in Hungary, with the HR team, a little bit more than 30 people, and covering the whole HR cycle. But yeah, I will talk more later on. Bucket list. Next week I will go to the driving license exam for motorbikes. So this is one.
Wow.
It's just a short term, as you mentioned. But in long term, it's I love cooking, and it was always dream about a little bit of a small, tiny restaurants somewhere, someday. Let's see if I can go an early retirement or later.
That's a nice one. Thanks for sharing. Coming to our topic today. So both of you have experiences also with employee referrals in previous organizations probably, and insights here. Maybe we can start a bit on your journey and also the reasons back then why you started to introduce employee referrals, also with the solution formerly known as Firstbird, now Radancy Referrals. What have been the reasons for that? And maybe you can also share a bit some first insights on how was it before and what was the arguments for Tamás Vass from SAP. Maybe you kick it off and then we move further.
So I have to think back on the first times when I was started to work with referral programs, something systematic around referring talents to a company. I think we started with Excel sheets or like regular mails received from colleagues. So there were no like direct system which were focusing around referrals, and it was like a very good feeling when you felt okay, it's like now ordered into a systematic way. So I think all of us recruiters can say that's the best and safest way to get good talents and reach good talents through your already renowned colleagues who's knowing about the company, knowing about the processes, knowing about the culture of the company. So I think that's the best possible way to get close to good talents, and almost the half part of the job done, because probably those colleagues sold the potential or the learning or the development potential for those friends or family members or former colleagues of theirs. So I think that's a really valuable part, and that's the best thing what can a recruiter think about as receiving talents. And we started to work 2.5 years ago, if I remember properly, with back then Firstbird, now Radancy. And our main learning was that we did a little bit of research on historic data, and it's shown that our hires, or 8 or 9% of our hires came from referral. And we also did some market research or research on our competitors, and it's shown that on an average it should be somewhere around like 20-30%, even if it's a very major company or something very niche position, it can climb around 40% of the hires coming from there. So that was our goals, to get as close as possible. So yeah, I think that was our journey, and that was
perfect. Because then we can a little bit later in our session we can maybe also share what's the current status after 200 years. But let's keep it as a small little secret. Tamás, at Deloitte, how was the situation, and what is your view maybe before coming to Deloitte? What was your impression, and how did you perceive referrals back in, especially also in the other industries? And maybe that's also one piece you mentioned. How was it?
Yeah, back to the ages. So supply chain manufacturing. I think at that time when we started, it was a new tool, and we dedicated for the blue collar workers as a first place. If you can imagine the manufacturing, how does it look like? It was more or less all our factories was outside of Budapest, somewhere in the countryside, and to get to the local people on board, it was a great tool just to encourage them, just to get to know all in all the market, and it worked perfectly for the blue collar area. Again, as Tamás just mentioned, so it was manually mainly, probably even not an Excel at that time. I don't know.
Good old times.
But it was not easy. But the whole meaning behind, and this hasn't changed. The whole meaning behind that, if we have a good talent on board, whom we believed in, the idea is that probably this talent has similar characteristics on the neighborhood and their families, and if we are happy with these people and these people will refer someone else, then in a high percentage probably will be happy with the new person as well. And on the side effect, for sure, the recruitment process will be much shorter, and don't forget the cost effectiveness in the end. Because if I compare with, I don't know, headhunters or manpower agencies, in the end of the day, for sure, I prefer to pay these bonuses or payments
directed
to our talents and not to the external market or vendors. So this was how we started, and I think the mindset behind hasn't changed. And as Tamás just mentioned, the success, I mean, how we measured is that how high percentage how high ratio we can achieve to get talents on board via this channel. At the moment, we are around 22%, which is, I think it's okay-ish. If we can get to this 40, then I would be more than happy, for sure. But we increased a lot in the past. And now getting into Deloitte, and now using a new tool, and probably we'll touch this part later on, it's way more easier. But again, as the methodology hasn't changed, now we try to focus on how to engage more, how to encourage the individuals more to refer anyone. And a little bit about the numbers. Again, it's a company with 1,000 employees. I don't know how much aware about the Big Four and all around the attrition, but it was never zero. Still don't know what is the ideal number, but what could still searching for the threshold. But we are around 25 and 30%. Which means that just without any new positions, year over year, 300 newcomers should join. And if I can get the 40% of these newcomers via referral program, then it's absolutely cost effective and a high pace. At the moment, we are a little bit below, but we are getting there. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to just steal some ideas from SAP.
Maybe another question to both of you, based on what you have just shared, especially Tamás now, regarding the piece of retention, especially when you have seen that from different industries, especially from blue collars. Did you measure that, or do you have an opinion on and how significantly did it also influence retention? Meaning, if someone has been referred, state that talent that has been referred longer than maybe a talent that came through another recruitment channel. Was that something you kind of like anyhow measured or noticed that this had a kind of like a better retention? Because again, studies show that sometimes we are able to grasp this data also from our customers, but talking to you, have you any opinion and data here on your end?
If we go back to the blue collar workers and manufacturing, yes, definitely there's an impact around. At that time, we haven't had that KPIs, or we even haven't in our mind that to measure it somehow. But retention was always matters, and it was clearly visible that on the blue collars on the same line. If you refer out and you get your friends next to you and work together hand in hand, that it helps on long term. Now at Deloitte, it's a little bit different. I wouldn't say there's a really close connection on retention. We measure it. So we measure it clearly how the retention rate looks like, especially in the last 12 months, for example, whom we hired and how long they stay. So I haven't realized a really close connection because this is highly connected with the career path, what we can provide, and it's quite a high speed. But what can help is on the fresh graduate part is definitely helpful because if we talk about these close to 300 newcomers in a year, around 60-65% are from fresh grads. And we tend to say that it's more or less the fresh grads from our target universities, the classmates just move from the university to our place. And if they can then stick together, be together, then it will be an impact overall. Yeah. But again, and I don't know if we need to touch this part, but talking about Gen Z and new ideas around the labor market, this is a way more different direction, and maybe not. I don't know if we need to see close connection between retention. So pretty much that's all at the moment. Yeah. But referral can help, and I think can motivate the newcomers as well, because they already get the message about the culture. Most likely they will get a new buddy whom they can know, and then can help to navigate within the firm. So definitely in the short term, in the introduction orientation period and the first year, I would say there's a high impact. Yes.
Maybe just to add before we come to SAP and how you have measured or seen that, is what is interesting, and we are actually also talking now with your colleagues at SAP about another topic, which is kind of like also because you mentioned the communities in universities or in selected like communities where you want to recruit as Deloitte is. Some of our very early customers also use, we call them external referrers or talent scouts, and they picked some of the tutors and universities, all the thought of kind of including them in a kind of like a referral program, maybe with other rewards in there, but that would be also something kind very interesting. Ambassadors, but not within Deloitte, but like within your organization, but outside. And also maybe now coming a bit to you, because also a lot of both of you have, that's not maybe for blue collars of relevance, but you have also bigger alumni networks. Yeah. And that's also kind of an interesting thought to how a program could also be elaborated with external referrers, maybe not that active, but still they have a kind of the connection to maybe both of your employer brands. Coming to you and SAP, how is the topic of retention? Maybe you can also touch base a bit more.
Topics, starting with the retention, unfortunately, I don't have such clear data on that, how it influences, but I'm convinced that if someone comes through like a friend or a family member or a former colleague, former classmate, it also means that they have already like a half-made, social network internally. So it's like can help them if they feel unsure about something or just simply, onboarding. And it can help with, decreasing the number of retention. And I think that's one of the best part of receiving referrals and building your talent network or the company's talent pool such way. And on the other hand, as Tamás mentioned also, their company also hiring very big part of career starters. And I think as referrals, that's one of the best field usually, because that's a renewing part. So if you have a really good referral program, it means that you provide a good experience for your new colleague. And then probably that person bring it with himself or herself. And later on, it will be an easy thing or an automatic thing that, if I had this good experience as coming the employee of Deloitte or SAP, then it means that, why I wouldn't ask around in my company, even I can get a good bonus after that. So I think that's something good, and it's a continuously renewing area if you pull in like fresh graduates and you can get access to their networks and really good talent. So I think that's the best thing can happen. And what was the third question?
maybe to get back also to fresh graduates. I think one of the best use cases also we've seen people that are still in the honeymoon period of entering an organization are very open also to refer. So I think also you're using the fresh graduates again as referrers within the onboarding process in terms of in another way that you meant now, Tamás, is super useful what you've seen. Maybe to get to the next chapter in terms of our session here is a bit what a lot of the topic around, and I think that's also the success cases you're going into the 20 plus and maybe until the 40% of hiring rate through referrals in certain chapters is the activation or improving systems and the referral programs. And one of the things that is part of that strategy, it's not the only one, is the topic of reward strategy and how to package the bonification systems. And maybe Tamás from SAP, how is that done? You're in global organization in I think 78, 80 countries globally. You're using a referral program globally as well as a technology. How do you cope regionally and globally? And also, maybe you can say a bit about what's this interesting cross-border referrals, because that's especially interesting. Also, if that's possible, if not, and shed some light here.
So when we figured out that we should refresh our referring system, there was 3 areas which we figured out that would be worth focus on. So the first is the policy itself, because it was a few years old policy, and maybe we needed to change the wording which resonated better with our colleagues. And the second was the tool, which I think we will talk about later a little bit on. And the remaining one was the bonus part. So we needed to review the amounts. We needed to check what the business needs, telling us where to increase if it's possible, where to see the bigger demand. So that was a key point in our refreshing part in the referral system.
And to dig a little bit deeper into the reward, can you share what is a reward for an Hungarian colleague of yours if he or she refers someone, and how much does he get, and when is the payout done? Is it immediately or some after?
1,800 euros at the moment, and it's paid after the first pay cycle when the new colleague joined the company.
And how long is that?
It's usually after their hire date and in the next following cut-off date in the pay cycle.
Very good, thanks. How is that at Deloitte? Is it similar, the reward program? Is it, and do you have the same bonus reward for all roles? So maybe to a little bit.
No, we have we differentiated salary band by salary bands. So for a let's start for an intern. It's approximately 600 euros. This is the starting, and it goes up to even 10,000. So this is the highest
euros.
Yes, it's even for the partner levels.
Yeah,
which is very rare for sure. But this is
in the policy.
And I mean, this is one element, the bonus scheme. What I think we should avoid, and this is not a continuous problem, but I think where we have a responsibility around that, this is not and supposed to be not a second job for our individuals, and this is why the recruitment strategy behind and how we select and how we give a feedback to the person who referred someone, and also for the candidates, this is really crucial, just to avoid any. And going back to what Tamás mentioned about the policy, and have a crystal clear view how the process looks like. This is how you can keep at least the level and keep the integrity all around. And this must be the basics. So the payment is one thing and the bonus, but you need to really settle the basics just to be sure that it's compliant and the governance is around there.
Yeah. Some of the questions around is also the payout. So my question is for example, if I hire now as the first example, the intern, the bonus is 600 euros. When is the referee getting that bonus? At which stage?
End of the probation period.
End of a probation period. Yeah, interesting. Another question about the topic of how to activate. So we heard there are different reward options that based on level and position is possible. What else, or how do you use and a little bit the tool to also more or less activate your network of employees? Again, a tool is helpful, but it's not, you need also to manage and steer. Maybe you can, Tamás from Deloitte now, share some insights. What else kind of like in terms of activation have you tried? What worked well? Maybe you also some learnings on what did not work well, if there is anything here.
I think what we realized in a really early phase, and not just Deloitte, but all the other companies, that referral program will not work if our current employees are not happy. So you will not invite any of your friends just to join because I'm not happy. Probably you will be not happy too. So let's do it together.
Absolutely,
this is not how it works. So it's really relates back to the engagement level, and even if you talk about different people surveys or any opinion surveys, and how we will prepare the actions behind and help to turn it back to the individuals. But this is in close relations. So I think it's the first thing is not to work on the referral program. It's more about to work on the employee engagement, and if we can provide beyond the basic benefits, but all other extra allowances or extra benefits, extra actions, extra events, what the company can provide, and we can measure it back, and we can see that even if the attrition rates maybe shows a little bit different, but and again going back that not to measure or I'm more and more against the exit interviews, for example, because this is not what matters. It's more matters that why you stay, and if we can make staying interviews, then you can figure it out what's the reason behind. And if we can start to understand, then this you can build it back to the referral program, any campaigns. But back to the original question, we just started with the basics. So I mean, we just launched, create the policies, and then announced, okay, look guys, here it is. You can get some money. And as a first place, as a first wave, it was quite new. So you wanted to start. If the governance is not behind, so I mean, we need to be sure that all the processes will go smooth. I wouldn't say we take into the first priorities the referrals, but it's really important that all the individuals in the process will get the message and information and status update in time. Otherwise, next time they will not refer anyone. And it's beyond the payment with the system now where we are at the moment. You can earn some coins, you can collect some badges, and then you can go back to the Deloitte shop and you can buy something else. And this is all kind of small motivations what we can do. And in special situations, especially in some business lines where we are targeting the more from the seasonal point of it, where we need high amount of fresh grads, special campaigns, then we can use some extra tricks or campaigns where we can double or even triple the bonus payment for a special period. And say that, okay, these specific topics for the next 3 months, it's a double referral program. So such like this can work. But I think more we work on the engagement, then it will help automatically on the referral program.
On the referral program. Really interesting. Maybe to touch base, one thing that you mentioned, what we have also built in the tool was always the idea to appreciate not only the success in the end, so meaning the hire, but the small little steps. You mentioned the topic of coins or small points that you can earn as a user using the system, sharing a job or giving a referral. And you're using the so-called reward shop. Maybe you can quickly a bit elaborate what is in there. So what kind of thoughts have you thought about what is incentivizing employees there in the reward shop? And is there a most popular incentive item that you have heard what people especially like?
They love it. So it's I think year over year we try to change the gift shop or the giveaways. I really cannot follow the trend. It's my employer branding team is working on it, and they always bring something new in place. But they already built up a small shelves in each and every floors, and you can see the gifts everywhere. So this is helpful. So just push it there. You can get different coins and badges behind different actions, even if you just share, even if you have anyone who join, anyone who just apply, and different coins you can collect, and then you can just use whatever you want. So it's hard to say what's the special and most popular thing, but I think they try to make it or specialize for the different seasons. So now summer is coming, and they order something for the summer, special things, or winter time, or such like this. And it's really gone quickly. So I know I just know it because I need to sign the invoice in the end when they reorder. So it's very popular, and very often the individuals just jump into the HR office and they get used to takeaways. And even our partners and directors, they just jump in that they have seen that
they jump in as well,
or hats or something, and they would like to give it to the clients because it looks really nice. Quality matters, so for sure need to take care about this. But overall, I think I haven't been prepared for this question, but I will go back to you and then
we can afterwards comment in the recruiTECH podcast. Really interesting, because that's also one of the questions we always receive. What are like other companies doing there, and what is working especially well? And we always say, hey, it's really depending on what your colleagues and employees or partners in that case as well at Deloitte really prefer to redeem the points in the reward job. So really interesting. Getting a bit back to SAP. Activation. And again, I think that's one of the crucial things. And what we have seen on data points, what Deloitte is using, the so-called reward shop, and what we are able to do with that also to see that 25% to 30% more activity is being able to foster through a reward shop that is open. SAP, as we're talking about the tool, is not yet using it. So that's part of a phasing approach and is looking about what else in terms of activation or communication have you been doing, or have you observed what worked well to also, besides rewards, in triggering employees to participate?
We are also hiring a big number of so-called early talents in our naming. And it's a very important thing that during the onboarding process or journey, they learn about it. Often us recruiters are also reaching out to the hired colleagues that, hey, have you heard about our referring policy or program or tool? Hey, just check out on positions. Let's think if you enjoyed that, what was working good for you, if it was a good experience for you going through the hiring journey, then just think around if you have someone to refer. So I think most of all, what I can also relate what Tamás said, that governance is the most important thing before everything. So if they see that it's a clear policy, if it's a good experience, then they will use the tool and the program. And after that, we have special campaigns locally or country-based. But at the onboarding phase, we really start to teach them or educate them if they want to use this tool. And after that, we have like a seasonal or monthly set of positions, which are like hot positions or special campaigns in every of our locations. So I think sometimes a gentle reminder can use to our colleagues. But I think the most important thing is to have the good policy or governance and the good part of onboarding to teach them if it's a good thing.
Also maybe two follow-up questions for you. Also, when you mention about the campaigns, are there special profiles of jobs that SAP is looking in your market where you're responsible for? What you see that is truly really working well with referrals? Have you seen any experiences there, or is it very generic, working anywhere?
I would say it's
similar?
more generic. Yep. So we have like those typical bigger positions when we have bigger talent pools or bigger pool of colleagues, and it's almost all the times required to have talents in our pipelines. But yeah, from time to time we have those typical like niche positions when we need to rely on the talent community and reach out maybe specifically to some colleagues to ask around in their networks if it's possible. So I would say both.
Both. Coming to a bit of another chapter, which I think is called, that's the recruiter experience. So also using technology like ours is always important to connect to the existing HR landscape or HR IT landscape. Maybe Tamás, how did that work out? How a recruiter using that channel, and maybe you can quickly elaborate a bit on the recruiter experience, how you manage that at SAP.
Yeah. So Radancy now, it's fully integrated to our SuccessFactors recruitment system, and in every like hour or 2 hours, it pulls out the active positions and it puts out to the referral system. And I think this approach that colleagues can refer their friends to, one position, one specific position or multiple position at a time, it gives them a wider, consultant type of role. So they feel they have a better exposure to this program and they are like advisors to us. And it helps for us, and it's my experience, so it helps for us recruiters as well, that, they're not, sometimes back then I experienced in the past that if someone wanted to refer a colleague or a friend, they just sent, hey, this is my friend, he's a good worker, and I just want to introduce him or her to the company. But now with this approach, I think they can go much more in a focused way to say that, okay, he's good on Java, he's good on, front-end technologies, and they are looking up on that specific position. And for us recruiters, I think it gives a much more focused approach and easier way to elaborate on talents as well. And I think it's an easier way to tell the colleagues also, we have these and that positions, let's check on it on the referral system. So from my experience, it's better to go with that approach that colleagues can also pick the very position which they want to refer on.
Yeah, and also within the tool, the option for those that are not familiar is that the talent scouts or the employees are able to choose the interest areas of jobs. They are getting it pushed to mobile apps or directly into their email inboxes. So as you mentioned, that is automatically done through an applicant tracking or ATS integration. And I think coming to Deloitte, I think also there, it's similar. I think you have a different ATS. I think you use Avature for managing your candidate base, but also here maybe just elaborate and on the integration landscape, that how you use it, and maybe also one additional question: if all the jobs that you open are also open for an employee referral program and it's automatically integrated, or do you differentiate here?
So first, yes, Avature is a system, and it's I would say fully integrated, which for sure it's really helpful and it's needed. It's always a little bit tricky because just simply without any job postings, we continuously get around 1,500-ish CVs in a month. And this is why it was important to integrate and to see it all together, not just use from the incoming database, but also the referrals. Where it's not yet integrated is we have a different system for the employee data and how it goes there. This is where a little bit of interface needed, probably in the next phase. And I'm really looking forward what AI will bring and you will show us later on, hopefully. But from this system point of view, I think this works perfectly. In terms of the postings and positions, all goes automatically to the referral. So now we don't differentiate.
No exclusion. No. As you mentioned, also the interns are possible to be referred for.
Absolutely. Maybe there could be some positions where it's confidential or not yet open, and then we are a little bit wait for that. But in general, all goes there.
Yeah. A little bit already coming to final round of questions. Maybe when you yourself, and generally I think a lot of from our clients, the HR or recruitment and talent managers or directors are excluding of receiving a bonus. I assume that if you can do a referral, but you don't get anything, or?
We do.
You get?
Yeah.
Wow, super. That's interesting.
I changed it because I was really against. But, why we just keep them? So for sure, again, policy and governance matters. So if you have a hierarchical relations with the new positions, then for sure, and you are the hiring managers, you are off. Yeah. But in any other cases, why not?
Why not?
So even HR, even for director levels, everyone is open.
Super interesting. The question from your, because when you, and if you even get a bonus, what is in the technology that how you have perceived or what you've heard, or if you use it yourself, what is the main advantage compared now to another process that you have experienced, staying from very manual to Excel sheets? What is like the top value you think, and starting with Tamás from Deloitte, what you perceive, why you believe the technology might be able to help and support organizations here?
For sure, speed can help. And the transparency and visibility, so you can see it overall. And in the end, how you can follow it up. Get the numbers out from the system. I can get some results, some KPIs and metrics, and based on this we can figure it out our next strategy. So where we are heading, is it low, is it high, which positions, as you just asked, which one is the most favorite one or not, or popular one, do we need to double or triple or any special campaign? So from the data we can learn a lot, and this is why it matters to have it in one system, or at least integrated to our local one, and absolutely speed. So it's cycle time matters. Maybe less we count it for the intern positions because it seems a little bit faster or easier, but later on it matters. And today, we are still high. I don't know what's the right number. He's the expert, so he will tell us. But we just started, I think, 1.5 years, it was around, the average was more than 120 years, 20 years, days. And now we went down around 70-ish, which is still high. I don't know what's the threshold, but should be around 40, 45-ish. Depends on the position. But at least from system point of it, this is the main takeaway from my end, and for the recruiters to support them on the process and make it happen, and make it easy also from the respond, from sending out emails, from the invitations for the interviews and such like this. So the integrated system, more advantage is the speed.
Interesting. How do you see that at SAP side?
I can second the most thing what Tamás mentioned. So I think cycle time, it's really important in IT or any other field nowadays. And on the other hand, it's 45 to 60 days usually. So that's
much better than we do. Okay.
But it really depends on the seniority of the position. So it's hard to say. But usually, I think what's the best thing is this kind of like self-service for the colleagues. So it's usually makes them even clearer that what type of positions we have, and they can do like a pre-assessment for us that, okay, we have this and that position, my friend is interested in this or have experience on that. And we can avoid those kind of referrals when they just get the CV and it's not like a match. So I think additionally, I would raise this as a big advantage.
Yeah. What is also interesting, just to add one point, what we did 1.5 years ago with, we analyzed all the data. As you mentioned, the data is one of the interesting insights for you to manage the programs. Also that not every referrer is the same personality. And so we characterize different personas within an employee referral program. And that's also something where we try, as kind of like the technology vendor, also to suggest to work with data in a very deep way. And there are then 5 different or 6 different personas based on user behavior, and they behave a bit different. So there are the introverts or the cautious people that might not refer that active, and the power users that refer a lot and are super successful. And then there are people that only are kind of like sharing jobs on social networks, which are called the multiplicators. And every one of the audiences might bring a bit different values in a referral program, but still useful, as you mentioned also, that you communicate and campaign to your referral audience. I think the last question, because we started with SAP about the success rate. Do you know it? Because we've talked to the colleagues, but if you know it as well, what is the current figure in terms of
2023? It was like 21%, and the current year so far it's 25% globally.
So hires from referrals. Wow. So it's an increase from 8-9% before starting. Really nice. So I believe that's it. That was the session. Thanks a lot, both of you, for having us here at RecruiTECH. So you can check that podcast on YouTube. You can check that on RecruiTECH podcast. You can comment it, and maybe we hear and see us next year at RecruiTECH CEE again. Thanks for your time and all the insights, and talk to you soon again.
This is the recruiTECH podcast, the cutting-edge podcast in the CEE region, by professionals for professionals about recruitment and technology. We are here to help professionals in the human resources and recruitment fields navigate the challenges and opportunities of finding and hiring top talents.